was in a different car as he was in the office. We couldn't get, but the PS of local government got back to me many times, and the commissioner there, to show interest that they are really ready to come. On Tuesday, 14th July 2020, the House referred for consideration the Local Government Amendment Bill 2020 to this committee as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 142 of the Rules of Procedure. The President, in his letter to the Speaker, raised the following concerns, and I quote: it says, I have received the Local Government Amendment Bill 2020 for my assent. However, I have noted some clauses listed below that need to be reviewed. 1. Amendment to Section 111 of the Principal Act. The amendment seeks to introduce qualification for chairperson of a sub-county being a minimum education of advanced level, standard or its equivalent. 2. Amendment to Section 116 of the Principal Act. The amendment seeks to introduce qualification for a district councillor or a city councillor being a minimum education of ordinary level, standard or its equivalent. Introduction of minimum academic qualification for the categories of people mentioned in the proposed amendment will not only be discriminatory, but will disenfranchise many voters, deny them right to choose leaders of their choice, and to actively participate in the development activities of their countries. In addition, these leaders play different roles at different levels, depending on their qualification. For example, the district chairperson and the deputy must have qualification of advanced level standard. The CAO must have a qualification of a university degree and not less than 10 years working experience. This is because they are responsible for guiding local governments, supervising activities at the districts, monitoring and implementation of council decision, etc. It was envisaged that they would help in guiding the lower local government leaders who may be possessing low academic qualification. Further, to make the qualification of a sub-county chairperson the same as those for a member of parliament, and yet they perform different roles requiring different competencies, is unjustifiable. The current provision in Section 7 of the Act, which provides for the creation, alteration of boundaries of local government units, is sufficient. The local governments and administrative units are created based on people's wishes and requests. They are done in line with the laws of Uganda. There is, therefore, no need for an amendment. In view of the above, I hereby return the bill for further review. That was a quote from the President's letter. Colleagues, you will recall that during the bill's second reading held on 4th March 2020, the Honorable Cooper made some proposals to have qualification for selected office bearers in local councils. He is here to tell us, he's supposed to be here, he just stepped out, to tell us the reasoning and the justification, and he will be here to tell us his reasoning and justification. I continue to remind ourselves and you to be conscious of your space and keep your face masks on at all times during this proceeding. If you need some refreshment, please walk quietly to the table set behind on the left and serve yourself in order not to interrupt the meeting. I would like to invite the Minister of Justice, who will, after that, will give some time to the Minister of Local Government also to make their presentation as I now do. Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman or colleagues. I have a written statement which, if you permit me, Mr. Chairman, I would formally submit it to you and ask my officer to distribute if that has not been done.
Thank you. Do we have, you have only one copy? Okay. Let our secretariat handle the copies and supply to members accordingly. Yes, Honorable
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, as you have already mentioned, Parliament passed the Local Governments Amendment Bill 2019 on 4th March 2020. And as you have already mentioned, His Excellency the President, in his letter dated 25th June 2020, returned the Local Governments Amendment Bill 2019 to the Honorable Speaker of Parliament as specified under Article 91(3), where the President is empowered to return a bill to Parliament with the request that the bill or a particular provision of it be reconsidered by Parliament. The provisions that have been returned for review by Parliament include Clause 8, amending Section 1111, that seeks to introduce qualifications for any other person other than a chairperson of a sub-county, the academic qualifications being a minimum education of advanced level standard or its equivalent, and Clause 11, amending Section 116, subsection 1, which seeks to introduce qualifications for a district councillor being a minimum education of ordinary level standard or its equivalent of the Local Governments Act, Cap 243. The purpose of this presentation, Mr. Chairman, therefore, is to reintroduce to this committee the Local Government Amendment Bill 2019 for your reconsideration. Parliament, during the debate on the bill in the Committee of the Whole House, inserted a new provision by substituting for Section 11, subsection 4C, the following new provision. And I quote, C, other than a person who intends to stand for election as a chairperson of a sub-county has completed a minimum education of advanced level standard or its equivalent. Close the quotes. Additionally, Parliament amended Section 116, subsection 1, by inserting paragraph C, immediately after paragraph B as follows. Again, I quote, C, has completed the minimum education of ordinary level standard or its equivalent. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, this is an argument, a fundamental argument. The national objectives and directive principles of state policy in the Constitution, paragraph 2, democratic principles, it provides, and I quote, the state shall be based on democratic principles. Mr. Chairman, I emphasize democratic principles which empower and encourage the active participation of all citizens at all levels in their own governance. In their own governance. All the people of Uganda shall have access to leadership positions at all levels subject to the Constitution. The state shall be guided by the principle of decentralization and devolution of governmental functions and powers to the people at appropriate levels where they can best manage and direct their own affairs. The composition of government shall be broadly representative of the national character and social diversity of the country. And I close the quotation. The import of this quotation is that people should have a free choice of their representatives. Article 1 of the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, provides for the sovereignty of the people. The people are sovereign, they are supreme. And it provides that, again I quote, all power belongs to the people who shall exercise their sovereignty in accordance with this Constitution. Power belongs to the people, and they exercise it. And without limiting the effect of Clause 1 of this article All authority in state emanates from the people of Uganda, and the people shall be governed through their will and consent. If they have consented to elect a leader, it is not right to disqualify them by imposing qualifications. All power and authority of government and its organs derive from this constitution, which in turn derives authority from the people who consent to be governed in accordance with this constitution. The people shall express their will. They will express their consent on who shall govern them and how they should be governed through regular, free, and fair elections of their representatives or through referenda. The importance of this provision is that people choosing their leaders through who should govern them through elections, there should not be, we should remove every impediment that would contradict this provision. Notwithstanding Article 180, Local Governments Council, which also provides that, and I quote, a local government shall be based on a council which shall be the highest political authority within its area of jurisdiction, and which shall have legislative and executive powers to be exercised in accordance with this constitution. Parliament shall by law prescribe the composition, qualifications, functions, electoral procedures in respect of local government councils. And I close the quote. It is therefore clear that the framers of the Constitution intended wide participation and inclusiveness by the people, even where qualifications are provided for. Again, the international trends right now is that inclusiveness and participatory, no one should be left behind, is a major principle in these days. The Local Government Act, Cap 234, currently has no qualifications for chairperson of urban divisions and town councils, as well as district councillors. To introduce them, therefore, under the proposed amendment would be discriminatory. It would also defranchise the aspiring leaders and voters. The Local Government Act, Cap 234, the objective of that Local Government Act is to give effect to the decentralization and devolution and provide for decentralization at all levels of government and to ensure good governance and democratic participation in and control of decision-making by the people. Now, the justification here, Mr. Chairman, as earlier pointed out, power belongs to the people and they exercise it. And in order to allow equal participation, equal access to leadership position, it is necessary that the academic positions be removed in the proposed amendment. The framers of the Constitution bore that in mind while drafting the Constitution. They took into account social diversity, the national character, to allow leadership that is broadly representative. Government has ensured that all people participate in the decision-making and leadership. This forms the basis of devolution and decentralization of government functions, and powers to the people at appropriate levels where they can best manage and direct their own affairs. That is the basis for which the local government councils and sub-county councils down to the local council 1 were established to allow management of their affairs at their levels within their jurisdiction. Leaders play very different roles, Mr. Chairman. Leaders play different roles at different levels, depending on their qualifications. For instance, the district chairperson, LC5, and the deputy must have a minimum qualification of advanced level standard or its equivalent. The chief administrative officer must have a minimum qualification of a university degree and not less than 10 years working experiences. This is because the above persons are responsible for guiding local governments, supervising activities at the district, or administering the implementation of decisions, among the other duties. It was therefore envisaged that LC5 chairperson and his or her deputy, as well as the chief administrative officer, would help in guiding the lower level leaders who may be possessing low academic or no academic qualifications at all. Mr. Chairman, I should add that to require qualifications of an urban division and a town council chairperson equivalent to those of a member of parliament, think about it, and yet they perform very different roles requiring different competencies, is not justifiable. It is not justifiable to require same qualification for a member of parliament and simply a chairperson of a town council. Therefore, the introduction of minimum academic qualification for the categories of persons mentioned in the proposed amendment will not only be discriminatory, but it will defranchise many aspirants for leadership positions and deny the voters the right to choose leaders of their choice. It will also infringe their right to actively participate in the development activities of the country and their jurisdiction. If I conclude, Chairman, we carried out a rapid survey of the current qualifications for current chairpersons at LC3 and down below. If this qualification was imposed, half of the current chairpersons would be disqualified, and that would be terrible. So in conclusion, Chairperson and members, I implore this committee, and I will implore Parliament at large, to review the bill by deleting the proposed subsection 4C of section 11 in clause 8 of the bill, by deleting the proposed paragraph C immediately after paragraph B of section 1161 in clause 11 for purposes of inclusiveness, good governance, and the spirit of devolution, the decentralization of government, to enable a wider participation of all people where they can best manage and direct their own affairs within their jurisdiction. Mr. Chairman, I thank you very much indeed. This is the close of my submission to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And as you are making your presentation, one of our witnesses came. I do not know whether with this lawyer, but let him be on record. Honorable Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Okupe Elijah. I'm a Parliament for Castillo County, and the author of this issue of the qualifications for the local councils, for the district councillors, divisional councillors, and the sub-county and town councils. We were together with the Honorable Rico, but unfortunately he's not here. He lost his auntie who brought him up, so he's not able to be with us here. But I'm happy. I was here at 10 until even I was here, left the minister here, because again I had to appear on the Committee of Fiscal Infrastructure. So okay. I'm happy to be here. Well, let me ask my legal counsel to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Leandro Komakech. I represent the people of Gulu City. Mr. Chair, I'm just from another meeting where we should have been together, but you were effectively represented by Honorable Veronica, the Human Rights Defenders Protection Bill engagement. So we are here on issues of the importance of education in leadership.
Okay. I hope that was not the basis of creating a seat in Gulu. But thank you for about that information. Honorable Bichetero is a standing representative of this committee in human rights-related events. She's a human rights defender. So, Honorable practitioner, you're not a defender. You practice without defending. That's a beautiful one. Yes, Honorable Minister of Local Government. This bill, just before you come, would have ordinarily been brought by the Minister of Local Government if it was ordinary amendment. But because it was an electoral process, it had election matters. That's why the Minister of Justice brought it. And you know, the other time we never had opportunity to interface, but the Minister of Local Government gave us their written submissions. Now you are here in person, the man of the moment.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable colleague, members of Parliament, my fellow minister, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. I'm here with my Permanent Secretary, Ben, and our legal staff, Stella. Mr. Chairman, I have a written submission, and I beg to present it to you.
Thank you. Let the other copies be availed to the Secretariat to circulate to the members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I beg to...
Is it possible we can also have the letter of His Excellency the President, so that we can look at what these two ministers have presented, and
yes.
Also...
Yes.
Yes, because
yes.
we would need, they could be at variance with what they are presenting. Could be. It's right.
No, the procedural issue is that to have the actual letter. That is sustained. But the issue whether they are at variance, that is a decision that the committee takes, not at this time. I want to direct the Secretariat to avail copies to members, including to whoever wants. Yes, Honorable Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to request your indulgence that you permit me to remove my mask, because I need to keep taking a cup of tea which you have provided
and
us.
Apparently those who are making masks have not made one that can allow us to
sip a cup of tea.
To eat. They are not in Uganda yet? Okay. Okay.
And my nearest neighbor is protected.
Your mic was sanitized, so...
And the mic was sanitized. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for inviting us.
You are really enjoying that chair of Minister of Local Government, you know?
Mr. Chairman, protection from the honorable member. This is our statement to this committee on the Returned Local Government Amendments Bill 2019. And I'd like to realize that, yes, much as it was by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, because it was on the electoral laws, the bill tended to delve into other matters which were not electoral related. That is, we shall explain to the committee, and part 3 and 4, especially part 3, where we think that the move of the bill delved into other matters not electoral related. We have reviewed the attached copy of the Local Government Amendment Bill 2020 and would like to raise the following outstanding issues with the proposed amendments, specifically sections 7 and sections 111 and 116. First, on the qualifications for councillors and sub-county chairpersons. The Ministry maintains reservations on the proposed amendment of section 11, which seeks to introduce qualifications of sub-county chairperson at A-level standard, and the amendment of Section 116, which introduces qualification for district councillors or city councillors at O-level standard. This is because the said amendments will disenfranchise the voters by denying them the right to elect leaders of their choice. Secondly, to put qualifications of a sub-county chairperson at the same level as the qualification of a member of parliament and higher than that of a district or city councillor, in our view, is really unjustified, because competencies required to perform leadership roles of the LC3 chairperson and MPs are different, and we know that LC5 is considered a higher level than the LC3. It would be real unjustified to put the LC3 chairperson of a sub-county at a level higher than the LC5 councillor. We think there is a bit of discrimination there. In our view, the current law allows local leaders to participate in elections for leadership in all the local council structures other than that of the chairperson and vice chairperson of a district, who are required to have the same qualifications as a member of parliament and who exercise supervision, oversight, and monitoring of the local governments, as ably articulated by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. We think this is in conformity with the principles of democracy as enshrined in Article 176 of the Constitution and the democratic principles under the national objectives of directive principles of state policy, as again pointed out in the presentation of the Minister of Justice. Under number 2, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, we are a bit concerned because the Minister here has only talked about the two qualifications of the district chair, of the district councillor, and the qualifications of the LC3 chairperson. But the letter of the President talks about Section 7 of the Local Governments Act. And under Section 7, there are two key features of interest to us. And I don't know why my colleague ignored that. One is on the elections of newly created local governments, and the other one is on alteration of boundaries of the local governments. And the President has been very clear on that. Under the elections, Honorable Chairperson, the proposed amendment to have elections for newly created local governments until the general elections is already sufficiently covered in the Local Governments Act, Section 7(9)(a), which provides that a local government or administrative unit created within 6 months before a general election shall not be taken into account by the Electoral Commission for the purposes of the general election. We note that during the period, there may be a reason for creating a new administrative unit, and there should be elections held for that. So for us, what is already in the law, that if we create a new administrative unit, 6 months to the next general election, then we will have elections then. But for some reasons, for whatever comes up, and Parliament agrees and government agrees to create a new local government unit, we think the law should continue as it is and we hold elections for the leaders then. Under number 3, alteration of boundaries of the local governments, all of administrative units. Mr. Chairman and honorable colleagues, I don't know where the Minister of Justice got this one from, that for me as a minister, to do my job, I must seek consent of the Minister of Finance. I really didn't know where he got. For me to say the district has requested for a new parish, a parish should be split, then I must first go and consult the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance does not consult the Minister of Local Government when he is proposing indicative planning figures for the budgets of local governments, because that is his responsibility. And I'm seriously saying Minister of Local Government is not a subdivision of Minister of Finance. So this amendment, I don't know where it came from. You know, it's not out of order, Mr. Minister. You need to explain where did you get this one from. It's not about elections. It is regarding my mandate as a minister. the current provision in Section 7 of the Local Governments Act, which provides for creation and alteration of boundaries of local government units, to me is very sufficient. The local governments and administrative units are created based on people's wishes, and that's what the President has pointed out, and other considerations. The requests are made through established procedures and structures. This is done in line with Article 179 of the Constitution, which provides that any measure for alteration of boundaries of or creation of districts or administrative units shall be based on necessity for effective administration, the need to bring services closer to the people, and may take into account the means of communication, geography, the population, viability, wishes of the people. Where does means of finance come in all this? Really? Yeah, but for me, to divide the parish has nothing to do with money, with the budget. We're talking of administrative efficiency. You're talking of services to the people. Really? For anybody to change the law and say, for the minister to perform his role under local government, I must first consult the Minister of Law of Finance. I totally reject that one. It should be noted that the memorandum of the bill is for electoral reforms. This is what is supposed to be in this bill. However, now the bill delves into creation of local government and administrative units, which is the mandate of the Minister of Local Government. The Ministry is currently looking at all the areas, and we shall be bringing to Parliament a comprehensive amendment of the Local Governments Act. But specifically, we didn't have a problem with the proposals presented as far as electoral laws were concerned. On this particular one, I urge you, honorable colleagues, to drop the amendment on the necessity for Minister of Local Government to first seek permission from Finance to do his job. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Wow. Thank you. I think the two people from Bushenyi, I may need somebody from Serero City in between. Yes, but honorable colleagues, just a minute. Let me have the members who have not introduced themselves, please, for the record. I begin with here.
Thank you very much, Chair and colleagues, honorable ministers. My name is Kenneth Ongalo Obote, Member of Parliament for Kalaki County, Kalaki District. Thank you.
And the Chairman, Rules Committee. Just to remind the two ministers from Bushenyi, just in case. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Kamba Paul, the Member of Parliament for Busiki County, Namutumba District, and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Chair,
and I am Veronica Ragu Bichetero, a Member of Parliament for Kaberamaido County, and a member of this committee.
Aston Kajara, Member of Parliament for Mwenge South, and a member of this committee.
Mugoy Augusta, a member of this committee.
Jova Kamateka, Mitoma District, member of the committee.
I think about 3 or 4 people from Bushenyi here, so just in case. About 3 or 4. Yeah, I think 4, yes. Anybody else? Yes. You were raising procedure matter?
Chairman, maybe before you opened up, that's why I had wanted that we look at His Excellency's later. We see which issues he has raised so that we can debate. Because I'm sure about this, I'm not sure about this issue of elections on newly created units is part of the President's.
To wait for the paper, the letter.
Yes.
Actually, the communication I made, if you were here, was we reproduced my communication. I reproduced the letter. And yes, it refers to Section 7, it refers to Section 116, 111, and yes, the concluding remarks in that letter which I've read, which I'm sure they are working on it, was about the wishes of the people on the creation of the new administrative areas and local government. But also we have to know, to guide ourselves on Article 117, when Cabinet resolves a matter and is brought here. And you see the two ministers are not agreeing on one. They are agreeing.
Thank you. The point of procedure I want to raise is actually in respect of sections. I'm on Honorable Majesty's Bill, Section 7 and 79. These are matters that were, 7 and 9, in respect of elections, mid-term elections for newly created administrative units, and also in respect of administrative units created as has been the norm without taking into account the population quota. Mr. Chairman, these are matters that were presented in the bill by Cabinet itself. And Parliament passed them actually as presented in the bill. Can a president who chairs Cabinet make a U-turn on the bill his government has presented and say, although Parliament, you passed this as we had initially presented, we now think we should not, or only he can only return matters that Parliament has introduced newly in the bill?
The Minister of Local Government, what is your plea?
Honorable Chair, I need to be sure that this was right from Cabinet the way it is here. I'm still of the view that even then, the President, looking now at the entire bill, the bill now as presented to him for assent, has used his prerogative to look at it in its entirety. Look at, for example, a sub-county council within its area of jurisdiction, with the approval of the district council, makes a request and in consultation with the relevant parishes within that sub-county, with the approval of the minister, to alter the boundaries of a parish. And then you subject that decision to now permission of Minister of Finance. We do consult Minister of Finance on matters which require finance certificate, and we are careful on that. But I think the President is absolutely right. This one, if it goes through to become an act, will certainly create, frictions within Cabinet itself, and also complicate the matter for the local governments, because the current law is justified. So I think, Mr. Chairman, you can use your prerogative to clear this so that we amend it, we change it the way it is, because it is not consistent with the policy of devolution.
Procedure, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Mitoma, original Chair,
I know that we invited these two ministers to come and clarify to us, but it surprises me that they should come here and start ping pong. They are members of Cabinet. They have access to the President. And surely, as Parliament, we need, we know that in Cabinet there you have collective responsibility. So surely, couldn't you have sat together with your technical teams and then advise the President? And then you would come here and give us a position which we can go with.
Give information.
To me.
This is to everyone as a procedure thing. In the beginning of this meeting, I stated that we never, as a committee, interacted with the Minister of Local Government. But the Minister of Local Government, in their previous submission to this committee, they raised the same concerns. And the committee here sat, and the people had different, it was a matter that others also felt that we were subjecting the Minister of Local Government to Minister of Finance. When you legislate on that, you are making a law. The Minister of Finance, and you know Minister of Finance, what was in the mind of members was that why do we create town councils and sub-counties and districts are not taking? That was the background. But members were alive to the fact that this is then becomes law. The Minister of Local Government, you can never go to Isingiro and you clear your throat and speak as a Minister of Local Government. Because even when you're being asked for a parish, you will say, I will first go and consult the Minister of Finance. So it doesn't give the political clout. But what is the way forward here? Honorable Alex.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to concur with my senior colleague, Honorable Magezi. I don't know why we saw it the other way, much as we had our own sentiments and feelings about it. But as the way it is now, is it possible for this committee, having passed their own bill, the way they brought it, at least in as far as that matter is concerned, and at this very stage, is it possible for this committee to make an amendment to that effect? Because if we had, I wish we had, I wanted that guidance. Secondly, the issue of, I think that can come when we are debating, but for Magezi's case, I wanted to get that guidance. Is it possible now for this committee to engage itself in other amendments other than that one brought before, before us by the President?
The comment of the Minister is referring also to the comment by the President. And Section 7 is still open.
Oh.
In my view, in that regard is where he was specific. The Minister of Justice made his part, and I believe the Honorable Cooper, we are going to listen to him, and we react to this together, and we make a decision.
Okay, if we look at the President's letter as the committee,
Yes,
then it's okay. We do some justice.
The clerk has photocopied finally the original letter. You look at Section 7.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity to look at them. I think when the President is free under Article 91 to return a bill on anything. Now, on the first, he talked very specifically, and this one, on the conclusion, he said it was very general. You have a copy there? Max, I was excited. But what you have here is purely the summation of that letter. But because you want to see the signature down, YK, Museveni, that is the problem. But what you have here, word by word, you know, is the real thing. Honorable Ongalo, or not Ogalo? Ongalo Obote Kenneth.
Thank you, Chair. I thought that the major concern which led us to the decision that the two ministries should liaise before creating new administrative units came about because of the pressure members have been receiving from the administrative units which are being created, but where elections cannot be held because we always keep getting the excuse that there is no money. Like, for example, the new sub-counties, which have been in force for years now, but every time by-elections come or elections come, the issue arises that there is no money. So this is, I think, out of desperation. Then it came about that why doesn't local government liaise with finance before creating these units where there are no elections, the pressure comes back on us. Right now, for example, there are all these sub-counties that were created. And there are rumors that they may not hold elections in them again because there is no money. So all this comes back to us.
I can dispel that rumor. Electoral Commission was here. They are going to hold election in all sub-counties created before this financial year. All other sub-counties that came into effect.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission.
And if I could add to Honorable Ongalo, you are alluding to Electoral Commission. It is the same Electoral Commission that came to this committee and said they could not hold certain elections because they did not have money, because they had not been budgeted for mid-term, the term of those organizations. So that's why actually the committee considered that it would be unconstitutional, it would be against the law for the Electoral Commission not hold elections because of money, and yet those units had been created. So the very Electoral Commission...
The issue of money, the Minister of Local Government and the Minister of Finance, I do not know when Finance has ever said there is money. They never allow, whether you are creating a district, but Honorable Professor, your side is okay. Let him clarify on his side where.
Chair,
your side is not controversial.
It's a very good observation by honorable members, and it has come on the floor of Parliament. And I think next week I'm supposed to make a statement on this matter, operationalization of the newly created sub-counties and town councils. It's a very valid argument and important matter. I want to believe that my colleague was in cabinet where funding the newly created town councils and sub-counties was not ruled out. And actually it was agreed that subject to the budget and detailed presentation by the Ministry of Local Government, government will propose to Parliament some adjustment in the budget to find some money to operationalize the newly created town councils and sub-counties. But for me, I want to make it clear, we have never presented any request for a new district, a new municipality, a new city, a new county, without a certificate of finance implication. Now, for the sub-counties and town councils, just kindly listen to me.
I wanted to clarify.
Kindly listen to me. I'm making it clear where we need consultation with finance. But on the sub-counties and town councils, again, we never create a new town council sub-county without an approval of cabinet, where the Minister of Finance sits. Now, but for us now to extract that and go down to even creation of a parish, which is simply the mandate of a district, which has no request, no requirement for extra money from the Minister of Finance. I think we are going too far in terms of watering down the powers and mandate of a ministry called local government.
Chairman.
So,
Chairman, I only wanted to add, Mr. Chairman, a comment that most of these amendments, Chairman, if you can, I just only wanted, for purposes of moving on the same wavelength, amendments of Section 7 or any other section in the law are matters on which decisions of cabinet are expressed. Consequently, if any minister has a problem with the Ministry of Finance, the normal harmonization function is the office of the Prime Minister. But if we come here to do the harmonization, it's going to be very difficult for you, Chairman.
So,
Honorable Kajara?
Chair.
The procedure?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Going by what the Honourable Minister has just stated, wouldn't it be procedure right for the two ministers to go before the Prime Minister, harmonize their position, and then come back to the committee? Yeah.
Yes, Honorable Cooper, you're going to have your time to speak.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Honorable.
what I was also...
Chair, the Honorable Minister for Local Government has just stated that there are no units that have been created without a certificate of financial implications. It is not true, because when the last units were passed, the Ministry of Finance, in their defense, they said clearly, you passed these units without consulting Ministry of Finance, and I remember I was in the Parliament, some of them were passed without a certificate of financial implications. They were passed in Parliament without a certificate, and that is why whenever we raise that issue with the Ministry of Finance, they say, you passed these without a certificate of financial implications, we don't have the money. And the PS is on record, the PS, Accounting Office of Government.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we're talking of two different things. We're really talking of two different things. There are units which must be approved by Parliament. The city, the district, the municipality, the county. We have not, and I'm on record, we have not created any of these units without presenting a certificate of finance. It cannot even go through cabinet. But town councils and sub-counties do not require the approval of Parliament. I think let's talk of the law as it is.
Yes, on matters before us, I want to remind, and before I remind ourselves, we got another person coming. Member, can you have yourself on record? He is my very lovely brother, for sometimes is good. You want to, other times is actually very good.
Mr. Chairman and colleagues, my name is Jonathan Odur. I represent Erute County South Lira District. I'm just attending as an interested party.
So I know what you people were reading in my mind, but we remain good friends. So what is before us, members, as I had indicated, I read out and I quoted the President's letter, is first to have the two ministers and Honorable Cooper. Honorable Cooper, you are the one who moved and caused the whole bill to be returned. You exercise your constitutional right as a member of Parliament. It's now your time to make that justification in this committee, where we are going to review and reconsider the position of, it was not originally in our bill, that position. So this committee never took any decision. So it's fresh. This is your moment. And you have 5 minutes to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I received your letter yesterday evening after the House and asked me to join you in this meeting today to again present you now to the small group. Last time I presented to the big House and the matter went through. But in the wisdom of His Excellency, he decided to send it back and stated, and there are 2 items, and say the committee is to report back on, I think, 2 items: amendment of section 111 of the Principal Act that seeks to introduce qualifications for a chairperson of a sub-county being a minimum education of advanced level, standard, or it is equivalent. Then 2, amendment of section 116 of the Principal Act that seeks to introduce qualifications for a district councillor or a city councillor being a minimum education of ordinary level, standard, or its equivalent. One, I think, I don't know how it was captured. I thought what I presented was the other way around. But now that this is what goes on, let me speak to this. But as I come to that, Honorable Chair, it's good the Minister of Local Government today has been in this House. Of course, I'm senior than him in the House, but he has been in this House. He has been the chair of the Local Government and Public Service. And Honorable Kamuntu also has been here for some time. In this House now is the longest. I think I'm the second to him. in this meeting. In this ACE Parliament, having served in the Committee of Local Government Accounts, COSASE, we kept receiving petitions from ULGA, the Uganda Local Government Association. After we got interrogations to the quality of the works, especially when it comes to the local government accounts, the queries, because look like our level at the district levels, at the local government were having challenges. So they have been petitioning, I think not once, even to the Speaker, leave alone to the committee, that please, can this Parliament help us to improve on the quality of the leadership by providing for qualifications, at least some basic minimum qualification to help them address those issues. Of course, in the ACE Parliament, when we met the President under the Local Government Accounts and Pro, he said, no, I need my people still to go to school. We have just started UPE. I think we can do it in the future in the next Parliament. But that was in the ACE Parliament. So, with the continuous requests and petitions from petition, and also having what the President told us at that time in the ACE Parliament, I thought, or we thought, it would be the right time, because UPE now, even someone who started UPE from P1 now, has gone beyond S6, they have entered the university. We thought we would have improved on the quality in terms of education in the country. And there are so many young people, old people who are educated, even those who were not able, including this Parliament, people who went back to school because you want to retain, because you want to get soon. We thought by now, those who were in those positions without qualifications would have also gone back to school because there's free UPE and USE. So given that background, it is known that a majority of the Ugandans have benefited from UPE, and thanks to the government for that. And the Honorable Minister of Local Government, we thank the government for that, Honorable Kamuntu, who is a professor in this area. We are grateful to the government, and we thought that's why the government was taking Ugandans to school. So based on that, we brought out this up. When we passed this, you would have seen the comments. I think there was a whole headline. I think it was the Honorable Minister who was addressing the Mayor's Association, was in Luero. They say, at least Parliament has done something for us by providing for the qualifications, and the Minister is here to bear witness. I read it, it was in the headline on Monitor. Even Ulga did make comments to that effect. Yes, if there were challenges, if the challenge, I know politically, even me, I have friends, supporters who were affected by this, but even including the members, and I think also that could have also been appealed to the President, because I understand there were some delegations that also tried to push that we shall miss out. I think the message to those is, I think, whether we shall pass it or not, if they get back to the leadership, they should better their qualifications, because it will one day have to pass. So, Chairperson, on number one of the sub-county chairpersons, I'm ready to concede that we adjust. We can adjust to the S4, not A level, to provide at least, because if the parish chiefs, local government is here, the parish chiefs, the qualifications, the minimum qualification is a degree. How can we now have a councillor?
Honorable Cooper, don't you think that was also part of the debate in the House?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what is before us now, we either have a qualification or no qualification. If we have a qualification, we should be ready for the battle that the bill will again be returned.
Then finally it become law.
And
If
then,
we insist. yeah. At least chairperson, let us have some minimum qualification. Don't say I'm ready to, I'm able to adjusting. We can bring it to S4 and start from there. For LC3s, but for the councillors, for the divisions, and for the cities. For God's sake, you are going to pass a lot of money for the cities. We want model cities. We have had challenges at local level. I'll give example of Soroti. Because of that, people decided to parcel their land, including the land that belonged to Soroti Flying School. We are now having a problem. We say, can we expand Soroti Flying School to an international airport? Now, tomorrow, the government has to compensate people because People who are not forward-thinking, they are not exposed, they cannot understand, they can't read the documentation properly. You have heard when it comes to the swearing in. So I'm amendable to us have the S4 or the sub-county level 2 S4, but for the councillors and the division councillors, for God's sake, let us have qualification equivalent to A level. I'll give you an example that happened in one of the districts in Teso, where it was a challenge to get the vice chairperson of the local council, because because it was majority, the ruling government, but there was only one person whom the chairperson did not want, and the lady belonged to the opposition to be appointed now. There was no option to be appointed the vice chair. The chairperson refused and went ahead and appointed somebody without the qualification. So it took the councillors to serve the chairperson with a notice of invitation to sue. That's what reversed the situation. So suppose tomorrow we get to the situation where, because we provide for the chairperson and the vice must have qualification. Order. If we reach the situation where...
Order, Mr. Chairman. A person making presentation is not debating, so you can't put him on order. He's making a statement.
Okay, procedure.
He's giving
then.
Justification.
Thank you, Chairman, for the wise ruling.
As
Is
always.
it in order to say that the ruling...
No, but I have overruled you.
So it's also possible for us tomorrow to have a situation where a district, all the councillors don't have an A level. Both the opposition and the leadership. What would happen in such a case? What will happen in such a case? Because for the vice, it must be at A level equivalent. Its qualification will be at the level of somebody qualified to become LOC 5. What will happen? But most especially it's on analysis and reports and understanding now that, especially for the cities. Now, at least those days when it was only Kampala, but now we have about 8, 9 cities. There are going to be more. Because for Kampala, definitely you will get people with the qualifications, even masters. What will happen in those cities? So, Chairperson and honorable colleagues, I will still plead with you that let us have some qualifications. We can adjust the qualifications, but at least let us have some minimum qualifications. At the remotest value, I can still adjust that. We may, painfully say, drop the sub-counties, but for the councillors, a district and division, at least must have some qualification.
Yes, thank you.
On the other part, maybe I will comment that one as just a member. On the other thing of Section 7, you see, you put it in a more clear way that the minister must have clout, and Honorable Kamuntu, having belonged to the previous government, unless you want to disarm Honorable Magesi or the Minister of Local Government, because when you come, you must show some power. That the minister must show some power that he can be able to offer at least a parish.
Honorable Kamuntu, I hope you are listening.
Yeah.
That
because
give us an example of previous government. What kind of cloud?
Whose call box is that one? Chairperson, I was just saying that Honorable Kamuntu being a senior member and having belonged to the UPC government, I remember the minister, Honorable Mateke, would come in Kabale and say, let there be a school. And there was a school. And in the last government of Dr. Bote, Honorable Kamuntu and a team came to Kasilo County. That was the first time we got a secondary school. They ordered that let there be Kamodo Secondary School in Kasilo, and there was it. But now if we want to remove...
And the school is still there?
It is still there.
And it is government school?
It's a government school. So we must give...
There was no cabinet paper?
Nothing. They just came and declared from there. Declared from there. So, Honorable Magesi must have some minimum power to be also seen to be a minister, to be working. But on the procedural matter, I just wanted to know how do we deal with a situation where the government brings a bill, we pass the way it is, it goes to the president, then the president sends it back, his own thing. How do we deal procedurally? It shouldn't be returned in the same way.
The law allows him. He is the chief executive. Because bills go and they get distorted or, you know, the law allows him.
This one was not distorted. It went the way, we processed the way it is. So,
So I want to, but if he has had a change of mind, there should, I think, be a procedural way in which to bring it. So, Chairperson, that's my comment on that on that part. But I have put my case on those. And there are many youths there who would get jobs from this, who are qualified now to really take up these positions. And we have improvement in the quality of the service, utilization of money, instead of us day in, day out fighting with the backlog of the accountability issues at local governments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now members, we have to interact. We have about 20 minutes to go. We've taken some of the time already, but we have Muna City. Do you want to have your name on record? I know your pride is in minutes of local government. Yeah, you threatened him that he should not. Okay, I shouldn't put it on record.
Honorable Chair, I hope that's not provocation. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. I apologize for being late. I told the chair how you woke up, but I'm glad I'm here, so thank you.
I hope he has 2 seater divisions. We need him back. Yes. Yes, but I know he has his own problems there, created by him. For being too good, now he has his friends coming against him. So we pray that Honorable Matthias is a member of this committee, and I know his position because he indicated in the group that he would be here. It would be here, yes. Yeah, what I got from Honorable Cooper is that that you want to concede, but conceding, you are again saying you want to give a lower alternative qualification. Now, the letter from the president is about no qualification. But you are entirely right to sustain your position that I want a lower one. It was a matter that we all know how it ended, and now we are here. Honorable colleagues, I do not know about your places, but right now I have 10 sub-counties and 3 town councils. I have some who are now, yes. There are people who are incumbents right now, and we are changing the law while they are in the seat. They even don't know whether they should campaign. Yeah. Yes, Honorable Minister, you said you have a good example? Yes.
You see, Chair, the issue with that, the issue is that the Minister of Constitutional Affairs always brings, you remember how your committee, how the Speaker had been pushing for these laws to come. They always bring it when it's just 7 months, 1 year to the election. And yes, then they would want to use that argument that they have not been given time.
Hope, but this is a notice. I want to appeal to Honorable Cooper and the colleagues that this should be as a notice, adequate notice to the occupants of incumbents who are not qualified, that likely in the future there will be requirement for yes, on. Let the member come and then you will. So help me welcoming somebody I thought was, he has the ears of a pig and, but did he get a city? Kabale?
He did.
Oh. But that's better than nothing. Tororo has nothing, you know. And the Tororo Honorable Minister is the only district, out of the 13, 15 regional towns, Bukedi, which are there on the gate of Parliament. Today, if you don't say something good, I might close that gate. Sebei, Ajumani, which is Moyo, and Bukedi. When you compare Sebei and Ajuman, it's only Bukedi which doesn't have a city. So think about that as you want to resolve the tribal conflicts in Tororo. Yes, can I have Honorable Member Bichetero?
Thank you very much, Chair. On the issue of qualifications, I would really propose that we stand our ground and we maintain what we passed in the bill to the President. I appreciate what the President has to say on returning the bill. He's looking at the bigger political picture of the NRM and the government, and he quoted it here. But when we look at a much bigger picture, and that is Uganda today and Uganda tomorrow, we've put in many, many structures. Education has been our key. We have put our children in school.
Honorable Member, do you make submission as following the mover of that amendment? Is actually has left that position,
Okay.
is
He
coming
has abandoned.
down.
What I'm saying is we maintain this and we actually ask, we maintain the law as it is, or the bill as we sent it to the President, for the reasons that we are actually looking at a bigger picture. We are promoting education. If we now go back and say, oh, no qualification and what have
Order.
you, we'll be sitting on what we have started.
Order.
You
Then-
really want to raise order on Yomulamu?
Yes.
Okay.
What
order.
have I done? Can we sort it at home?
Okay.
If I can finish, I want to finish by giving my own constituency or the area where we come from. We do come from Teso, where Honorable Okupa raised, Teso region, and he raised this whatever. We have people who are qualified. They are able to, we are able in our sub-counties, in our districts, to raise these qualifications. And the only problem, I mean, there is really no problem. We are able to raise the qualifications. When the law went out and when the rumor that they have raised the qualifications and it went to the district, many people started preparing. Some others even went back to school. And others took it as notice and got their best friend. You come and stand while I go back to school and I come. So for mine, it's really, keep my place, bring in so and so. So in our sub-region, people are ready, and we should not really be regressive instead of progressive.
Yes, but you know this bill was only passed around March of this year. People going back to school, COVID came.
Chair, we passed this bill after consultations. I was with you in the eastern side of Uganda. When people heard we were consulting on education and other things, because this thing came via Electoral Commission. And no, it wasn't Electoral Commission, but we brought it, it was. Can I make my own side? You will have your side. So people had noticed, and for a long time, people knew that qualifications would catch up with us. Here in Parliament, people leave the plenary and rush for classes. And so is it down to our levels. Mine is for the promotion of qualifications. We cannot sit on people who have gone to school.
Okay. You wanted to raise something before
Yes.
Honorable Jumper?
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank I want to thank the President for having returned this bill. I urged almost my lungs out. Even during the debate, we were actually stampeded into that. I recall very vividly. First of all, this was not our when my colleague talks of consultations, we didn't get that from the consultations. And that's why it never appeared in our amendments of the committee. It never appeared at all. So you can't claim that the people wanted it so much.
Well, Honorable
Number
Cooper
two,
would not be here.
Yeah. Number two, even immediately after the voting, which I protested, I ran to you and I ran to Honorable Cooper and I ran to the Speaker that which one have we passed? It was so confused at that very time. Even if we went back to the Hansard, it didn't come out clearly. People didn't know what we were voting for. Everybody, and I protested it from the word go. I'm happy the President has seen the light and brought it back. Uganda is not as enlightened as you people think. Look at Karamoja. In Iki, the very first person to be educated is just the first member of parliament they have had. Now, what about their sub-counties? The best they have is a P7 chap. You think, do we mean to say that that the Iki people should not be part and parcel of this country? Look at the Batwa. Look at the Batwa, you people. Honorable colleagues, look at the Batwa. The Batwa, the best of them has a P5, P6, even then supported by NGOs. You don't have anybody with...
Clarification.
Yes, please.
I'm trying to seek clarification from you whether you are in total support of what the President has been preaching and what he preached in Jinja when we had the by-election, that provided a candidate belongs to the NRM, for as long as he can sleep and be woken up and told just to vote, then that person is the best candidate. I wanted to hear your view because it
that
appears,
is for political expediency, and that's it. You've had so many either from the opposite part of the aisle. It's not only confined to NRM, so that's not a very big deal. But I'm only saying, let's look at the realities, Mr. Chairman.
The clarification
that in Karamoja, there are areas that do not have education.
I thought you could be able to listen. I make my able submissions, though I started on a light note. So, in your humble opinion and consideration, is education relevant in the politics of this country?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we are talking about leadership. There are very many. Actually, I was asking them, the member of local government delegation, to provide us with a list of the best performing districts. You will be shocked and surprised to realize that the best performing districts are not necessarily those which are being run by the most highly educated people like you are trying to advocate. No, not necessarily that. And it should not be used as an argument here to differentiate the majority of the people of this country. I have, even me, my own, if I give you my own example, Isinjiro district, for instance, I have 4 sub-counties, rather four town councils. None of the leaders in those town councils has a senior 6. Yes, and they are doing extremely very well. Kabuyanda, Chikagati, Kamubezi.
What is that?
Those are the town councils.
I thought
yes, and they are doing extremely very well. So why differentiate those people who are doing a very good job, but because they didn't have an opportunity to go to senior 5, senior 6, why? Is there any good reason? In any case, if the argument is education has been provided. Then why do you want everybody? Let's assume everybody is educated. Why again are you insisting on those qualifications? Why? Let's just throw the ball to the people. Since you are claiming that everybody has been educated, why again are you putting there that condition? Why?
people are already educated, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, UPE, USE, people are educated. Why they?
You know, when you're contributing, you look at
Why?
the presiding officer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, so
It was
in
me.
your suggestion, just get it clear. You are in the support that we don't need the qualification. We need to be very clear. But also there is no correlation between academic performance, academic standard, and political performance and leadership. Yes, Honorable Jova.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable
Kamba.
Chair. The fact that the member has to raise his voice indicates that he's defending something he doesn't even believe in. Honorable Chair, I do not believe that, Honorable Minister, you are a witness. You have no, you have no right of decision here.
Are you saying Honorable Biarugava raised his voice because he doesn't believe in what he's defending?
I just
That's what
wanted
I
to
believe.
attract her attention.
That's the truth. Honorable Chair, I do not believe that if you lift academic qualifications for example, if you look at the second paragraph of the President's letter, that you will disenfranchise many voters and deny them the right to choose their leaders of choice. I don't believe that. First of all, NRM has been in power for now 38 years. We've had UPE. Our children have gone to school. They have studied. They have studied. We all have them. The fact that we have counties and districts that have leaders that are not educated is because we have encouraged it, and then we have not encouraged those who are educated to participate in these positions. It is not that they are not there. They are there. Secondly, Honorable Chair, it is our responsibility to lift the standards of this nation. You cannot have a level of development that you want when you are using uneducated people in these key positions. We are saying the cow is a university graduate. Excuse me, please.
We need to get it clear.
Yeah.
By having no qualification, is the president saying the law as it is that only educated people should contest?
No.
If the answer is no.
No, but the defense here is the reason he returned the law is because we were putting education qualifications. And I think we are actually saying minimum. Do you say minimum? Yeah, we are saying the minimum qualification for you to be a district councillor, a city councillor, should be O level. And really that is the minimum we should go for. Because you are saying that the cow will be university graduate, and so will be able to look at all these. But the cow takes a decision basing on what has come from down. He cannot sit in council alone and take all the decisions. That's why we have high levels of corruption, because these other leaders are not able to check, to check on what the cow does. Just a minute, Honorable Chair. So I want to support the position of Honorable Veronica. I want to support the position of Honorable Veronica. And to actually
Mr. Chairman,
that we should, time has come for us to lift the qualification of members of parliament. You can see because the qualification is still at A level, that's why we have
too much corruption
the
in parliament.
level of participation of this parliament. So I support.
Really, you want to say that about parliament? I want to have you on record on that.
It is true. You can have me on record. I was in the 9th parliament. I have watched all the parliaments of the Republic of Uganda. The 10th parliament has performed worse than all of them, and we are making.
Let me give you a researched view from the first part. No. I don't have to convince you. You were convinced some time ago. I don't have to convince you. How can I convince an adult like you? Now, for you, you should know one of the best parliaments this Uganda country called Uganda has had is when you go to the Hansard, I don't know about how many of you go to the Hansard, where they will had grade 2 teachers. When you look at the level of debate and you compare what those teachers, most of them, you cannot compare with some of us who have master's degree, PhD ongoing. So,
Chair, that goes to the quality of education. You know, at that time, year 2, year 1, year 2, equate it to the one of today.
The quality of education at that.
Can I give some guidance? So as we debate, we belong to this parliament. I am proud of this parliament. As a family, I shouldn't be, as a former chair of rules, it is inside me, in my DNA. I don't talk bad about this. Though we know there are some people who are educated, but they choose to be very reckless.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I will withdraw what I said about the 10th Parliament, but does not change my position on the need for qualifications. I can appear anywhere. I'm not intimidated. Don't try to intimidate me. I will appear anywhere before any.
That is the danger of too much education. Honorable Kamba. Honorable Kamba.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, I am of the opinion that requiring qualification for these positions does not in any way discriminate upon anybody. Because then we would be saying that actually the current legal regime in respect to presidential, parliamentary is discriminatory and therefore unconstitutional. So I am of the opinion that we should retain the qualifications for the obvious reason that the assertion that it disenfranchises many voters, it doesn't arise here. It does not arise because there is no research that many of the voters would like to vote for unqualified, for uneducated candidates. It's not anywhere. We have not got that research. So I am of the opinion that we should leave the law as was passed. Thank you.
Puga and then Honorable who? Agaba. Abbas Mugisha.
Thank you for your indulgence, Honorable Chair.
The other one, you know.
I was looking at this document to confirm who signed it on behalf of the Minister of Justice. Then I confirmed that it was signed by the professor himself, actually. Said, okay, then I was comforted that he actually signed this document himself. I am underlining the word professor. Of course, not for any reason, but to appreciate the fact that he is the professor. And the only one at that in this room, Honorable Chair. So I am humbled to having reviewed this, his communication to this committee and its contents.
You've never stopped being comic and sarcastic, but you go ahead. Professor, take that with a pinch of salt. You know, it's very comical.
I thought at one stage I would be an academic, but then I thought I couldn't become a professor.
You're on your way to professorship. Continue.
I pray, humble myself before him. He's such. Honorable Chair, that was on a lighter note. I have reviewed the reasons given for returning the bill. And Honorable Chair, the beauty is that the same team of ministers was with us in the committee when we were discussing the issue of, what do they call them? The electoral laws and the regulations thereof. And when we were discussing then, disenfranchising voters was not an issue. It's now an issue when it came to qualifications. So I'm like, are we legislating consistently or selectively. And I would like to invite my good friend, the Honorable Byarugaba, that this matter is not emotive at all. It's a question of appreciating the kind of journey we want to take this country. If you attempt to water down the importance of education, then you're probably indicting the importance of universal education. Universal education was intended to uplift the quality of our communities and their leadership. I regularly attend meetings of my local government in Masaka, the district councils, the division councils, and you can easily see the limitations when especially the technical people drive councils to do all manner of funny things. And I can assure you, Chair and colleagues, the councillors are innocent in all this, because surely these people sit smartly and they design, cook for them a very nice lunch and breakfast. And you cannot really blame them for not doing what they don't know. The one thing no human being should ever be blamed for is doing what they don't know. We would like an assessment, because I have looked at several assessments. Before I came to Parliament, I used to do consulting work for a number of agencies, and we used to do local government evaluations. And consistently, when you get these reports, they would even state that one of the challenges that some of the councillors are not even trainable, underlined, that even when you take them for several training, they are not even trainable. So if you want to improve local government performance, I challenge the minister and my friend the PS. He has heaps of these reports on local government performance. And the word trainability of political leaders has come to the fore severally, that actually even when you want to improve by way of training them, they're not only unable to be attentive, but they're not trainable. So what are we trying to do in this room, Honorable Chair? Are we trying to help this community to see better the way we want to go? I imagine, for example, the kind of challenge my new city is going to have with, everyone. Then I have remembered, one of the most interesting human beings I love to see is Professor Kamuntu. Challenge it on the floor of Parliament as why people are being charged 2 million for assessing and equilibrating their qualification. They gave a very simple answer. Don't waste our time. Bring those who do not require. Bring those that don't require assessment. Then there will be no costs. So, of course, in jest, I'm just saying, can't we make the job of governing local government easier and faster and improving their quality faster, Honorable Chair? I'm thinking aloud. Because I don't think the returning of this bill is a honest consideration. It's a serious political expediency. It's not premised in an attempt to improve the way we work. I submit.
Honorable Agaba, then Honorable Ajab Barianga, then
Chair, thank you.
Ajab Barianga, Andrew.
Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm equally surprised that this bill, this provision has been brought back to the House. I just want to recollect the debate of the day. And Chair and colleagues, you may recall, personally, I was against the idea of setting academic qualifications for these local leaders, local government leaders, with the understanding, practically realistic, that in countries where they speak English as their national language or official or their national language, they don't have academic qualifications for their leaders. The UK, the US, and others. People come up and they're elected, and some of the best prime ministers UK has had were not as highly educated. Okay. Now, when we drove this point home, in countries where we have set academic qualifications, largely it is because of the test of the ability to speak English that the colonial masters now put for us academic qualifications to qualify for leadership. and the point was clearly made. But the Right Honorable Speaker asked a question, and she asked me a question on the floor of the House, that so when the Minister of Local Government and the rest of the government is sending communications to your district, they send them in Rutagwenda, that people can understand them. And I thought it made a very big point. That's when we now adjusted to understand that where we are, we actually need to a certain level to be in governance. Why? Chair, it's true anybody can lead, whether educated or not, but our ability to comprehend and understand even the national communication, the government communication, which is made in English, cannot be disregarded totally like that. So in the current circumstances in which we live, until when we are sure that everybody in Uganda is able to understand the language of communication of government, as long as government is using English as the official language, and the alternative is Swahili, and the communications are done in English and not in the alternative, definitely, Chair, we need a minimum qualification for our local government leaders. The experience we have had, I have been part of Kamwenge local government. Councillors come and sit in, they even pass a budget which they cannot comprehend. At one time, a budget was passed with the provisions of royalties from one of the mines that is causing problems in Kamwenge. And the councillors of that same sub-county came to me to ask me, what about the royalties? But it had been passed in the budget where they were sitting. So, Chair, for the good of improving the quality of leadership, this is the compromise we set on the ground, on the floor, that yes, we agree there must be a minimum qualification for local government leaders. And it had been an issue. We had met it in the field, but had not been carried in the report because we as MPs had chosen to disregard it. However, we are reminded that URGA, the body that brings together all these local government organizations, it is one of the issues that has been holding at the forefront. That's when we picked it. But what did we agree? Because it appears what we agreed is not well carried in the bill, and when I read the President's letter, we agreed, Chair, that first of all, the LC5 is required to have a minimum of senior 6. And he chooses his deputy, his or her deputy from among the council. If the whole council has nobody with senior 6,
information I also give you that even the presidency is also senior 6. And he has to choose among members of parliament.
And the rest of the community.
And the other people who are also senior 6.
Thank you, Chair.
Has that stopped people with the master's degree like yourself from contesting and winning?
Those with qualifications higher than the required are not disturbed. But the times they have brought people whose qualifications are seen as lower than those required for member of parliament, there's been a very big problem. There are members who have not passed the test of the appointments committee chair simply because they don't have the qualifications minimum that are required. But Chair, in a council of a small district like mine now, if you don't increase the sample space from which the chair can choose the deputy, and in case of anything, more can come through, it becomes hard. You may end up like the situation my colleague is alluding to, that you have a council in which there's even nobody who can become a deputy chair. It's a problem. So why don't you raise the qualifications right, such that the chair rhymes with the others? But number two, Chair, we considered, we compromised in the House in order to have this law passed, that chairpersons of local council threes be exempted from this requirement. Why? Because at least at their level, they don't have a lot of interaction with...
And what do we have passed? That's the exact confusion that Honorable Alex was talking about.
Exactly.
And the Minister of Justice put up a spirited fight, even to recommit.
Yes.
That because the word town council was just the word town there. And Honorable Cooper knows that I went to them that you cannot demand this very higher level for MPs. For our constitution now, members of parliament, president, that's the highest qualification required. If you get the spirit and the letter of qualification in the constitution,
yes,
we should also get the same. We cannot actually ask now, my personal view, about qualification for lower local government when we still have a senior 6. You are speaking here as a senior 6 graduate.
Unfortunately.
President as senior 6. The debate in the House was that we should do, please don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. I said this is my personal opinion. I'm not taking side. Am I not a person? Should the chairman not come out of the chair and say, and I qualified it, because we are going astray on this matter. We are thinking that when you put qualification, then you are going to have improved service delivery. Then here, at the central government, the ministers are all senior 6, with the PSs who are very educated.
Ben here.
You joke with that man there, PS there. He has papers. The PS, the principal. You cannot even get to a level principal in local government or in public service when you don't have a master's degree. No. Maybe let me sample. Madam, do you have a master's degree? What's your highest qualification? Just on record. You see, beyond a degree.
She's a lawyer.
You see, of course, a lawyer. You know, she's a lawyer. You have to combine many.
Wait, which one?
Now, Honorable Cooper, as a witness, you are now showing me whom I should pick to talk. Yes, Honorable Akaba.
Chair, I'm indebted. Chair, I'm indebted to you for the great useful information you have volunteered. I hope the ministry gets us clear. If they would like to refer to the Hansard again, they should. We agreed that LC3 chairpersons and town council chairpersons be exempted from this requirement. For now,
yes, thank you.
For now, so it is LC5 councillors and above, municipal councillors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That must be required to have senior 6 as the minimum. Why? Because they regularly interact with this communication from Kampala. We also want, you see, they are being supervised by, they are supervising a cow or a town clerk who is highly educated. So they need a certain level of education to be able to be at par with them. But for now, the LC3s and the town council mayors, those can be left as democracy evolves in Uganda. Maybe time will come when they will be required. I think it is combining the two that also caused unease before the president. If we do this segregation properly, I don't think there will be a problem with it. Thank you, Chair.
That's brilliant. Honorable Aja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
By the way, as is coming, John, we need the proper, that thing, Honorable Alex, I've never seen him from that very day. He walked to me. What have we passed? You know, as a Muchiga, he doesn't speak softly. You know?
I know why. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I come from Kawali municipality. I'm fortunate that all my LC3 chairpersons are degree holders. Yes, they are, all of them. All the Northern, Southern, Central Division, all of them are degree holders. But there are, of course, many areas, like when you go indeed to the Batwa, who are our neighbors, there are sub-counties where there are people who have just finished P4, and also the P4 they have finished. They've not had it in formal education as such. They have there some whites who go there and engage the community and say you are now at a qualification of primary 4. So, but I want to ask a question, Mr. Chairman. What is the fear for members? One, they are not saying that for you to be a councillor, you must not have gone to school. They are only saying that you have to have such and such qualifications. People go and campaign to get these jobs. The population decides and says, you, according to qualifications or according to what you have said, we think we should vote for you. Secret ballot. Why would you feel scared that an uneducated man is going to stand against me for councillorship? Yet you very well know that the people are going to decide after having heard from you. Minus this small scientific campaign that we are in, maybe you might walk door to door, whatever, the way you will do it, I don't know. But I don't think we should limit the people. I will do it my way, the Chuck Norris way. And I'll make it back, I'm very sure. Now,
that type of mask, the mask you have,
very much so.
You're definitely going to make it back.
So, Mr. Chairman, I feel there should be an opening for what Honorable Agawa was talking about. The councillorship LC3 and chairpersons LC3, the division councillors in my municipality, let it be open for everybody to come in, and the voters will decide. The ones at a higher level of LC5, let there be some qualifications that we should go for. I think it's much better if we left this at a lower level to be handled that way. We still need those people, and there are quite a number of them that would want to also be part of the group of councillors and so on in our community.
Honorable Kumugoya, the next person is Honorable Gureme.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm called Robin Agureme Rwakojo. I'm the MP for Gomba West. Mr. Chair, first of all, I'm sorry I'm late. I had gone for that test, that irritating test, but the necessary one. My view is that it is unfair for the sub-county officials to be asked to have A-level qualifications.
Before you continue, what we are debating about is the answers, the captured the record here. What Honorable Agawa Kanyambura Abbas said, you know, there was a lot of lobbying, and Honorable Jury there, Honorable Okupa. Actually, we reached the consensus, and Honorable Cooper is quoted here in the Hansard. He say, I dropped the issue of sub-county, and then we concentrated on division municipality, and then we said we could put them at senior 4. But the way probably what was captured, we were very convinced. Honorable Cooper, what he said here, he has not changed. That's what he said there. He conceded. And Honorable Odur here, Jonathan, he's not there for free. Those two are silent lawyers of those two. They will talk last. Honorable Komakecha and Honorable Odur. But so the principle we want to maintain here is that the sub-county, and I think that was the concern of the president, sub-county, and because even I made a submission that when you are putting for LC3, the town council is also LC3. I'm also on record here. And when we came to understanding, we said, no, but the Honorable Coopers were saying there's more money at the town council. But you cannot prescribe a different qualification for LC3 at the town council, and you say, you leave the people there to decide this is a town council with more mandate and need. Let them choose. In my area, there was somebody called Joseph Ocheng, graduate teacher with a diploma in public administration, stood with the senior 4, we did do beyond senior 4. And people chose this one of senior 4, and the other one failed. A live case in the Navioga Town Council as I speak now. So, members, I think we should not waste a lot of time on this. Let's have a middle position as we talk. The Hansard was here, probably what was captured finally to be taken could have been, but Honorable Cooper, you bear me out on this.
So,
yes.
Honorable Chair, what I was saying is that I believe it is unfair to ask that at the sub-county, they should have A6 qualifications. If we were to do that, then we should not have our cake and eat it. Parliament should also be increased to either a degree or a diploma, at least maybe with 5 years experience. So if Parliament and the parliamentary position and the presidential position and the district chairperson at LC6, it is grossly unfair to think that
Did you say
local,
what?
At S6, it is unfair to think that we should retain.
That one exists.
It was a slip of the tongue. It's unfair to think that we should retain that for those positions and then go ahead to demand that these people at the bottom should have that. I can look at my own constituency. I have people who are good councillors, and they haven't benefited from that much education. And those who are educated anyway don't want even to go to those levels. So I think...
Why? There's for LC3, how much are you paid? Education, academic qualification should match the remuneration. You are giving somebody a net of 270,000, and then you are asking senior 6. Are we serious? Yeah,
so that's my submission, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Can I give some information, Honorable Chair?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I had the benefit of going through the presentation made by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And to him, because clauses 8 and 11 have academic qualifications that would render them democratically unconstitutional. So I wanted him to elaborate how this would render or would infringe our constitution simply because we have attached academic qualifications of political leaders.
Okay. Honorable Leander, then Honorable, because when we conclude, they respond. You also will respond. You are in a special category. You should have sat this way. But because I know that chair is nearly given to you, you've always been sitting there. Yes, Honorable Leander?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
You're speaking as the lawyer for Honorable
No, I'm
Cooper,
speaking
or as a member of Parliament.
Ex-official chair. But of course, I've done a lot of social legal studies that also gives me leeway to make many comments as regards this. Mr. Chair, when we were for the debate in the House, I remember we still remain the team we are here to do a lot of some of this work that got to that law. And I think much as we at times begin to depreciate the value of education, depending on moments, I think we should not encourage this. Government of Uganda, I think we are very aware that when President Museveni came to power, he was very clear on certain things. And he emphasized a lot on how we should empower the population to eradicate poverty. And that is why education became the central pillar in moving some of these government policies. That is why we saw UPE being introduced to be in compliance with the UN position on education. That is why we saw USE introduced. And many institutions in this country, especially in education, have expanded because of deliberate government policy on ensuring that Ugandans become a core in human resource. If you go to Singapore, the whole country does not have a single mineral, but government policy on education is strongest. And what they export is human resource. Now, when we come here, I think in leadership requires broad knowledge and sometimes technical. And for this matter, we should be mentoring. We should be giving a positive way that education is good. And by this, we would do it incrementally. And that is why I would still agree with the last position we had in the House, that from division council, municipalities, and the district, all their chairs must have equivalent of advanced level. And then their councillors in all these categories should have minimum of ordinary level. I think it goes, so then we hope it can be reviewed, that it should not be everlasting. So that even those that Honorable Birogaba, my friend, is fighting for, we also upgrade them in future. It should not be just that Isingiro should remain like other places they used to refer about. Mr. Chairman, I beg to submit.
That is the spirit, I remember, that actually what would be preoccupying us here is about the division, city division and the municipal division and the municipalities and the district councillors to be senior 4 and the chairpersons to be senior 6, but not the LC 3. Council, whatever, expert or do. Jonathan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have only briefly 2 issues, and I thought we can benefit from the presence of the PS here. In the House, I remember we debated whether sub-counties are the same as town council. And my understanding is within the Ministry of Local Government, these 2 units report to different departments. I'm certain that there is a commissioner for urban administration, urban council, and then there is a commissioner for local government administration. By that alone, my understanding then was that town councils are not the same as sub-counties. If the PS confirms here that they are the same, then I will concede that we don't need a chairperson with A level or its equivalent. But where it is on record and the PS confirms technically that town councils are actually different from sub-counties, then I still
You mean
think
from different in the name? First of all, one is a sub-county, one is a town council.
Yes.
One is rural.
I'm doing it briefly.
One is urban.
Yes.
Okay.
I have summarized because I know he has understood when I said, are they really different?
Okay.
Principle and administration.
I also had to alert him about the trap being laid.
Yes,
But it's
yes,
fine.
I know, Chair. You did that as well.
Okay.
Secondly, I believe that when we legislate, we should reflect the progress that this country has made. And by the time the Constitution was made in 1995, we have come a long way. And I know that even the Constitution itself, we all agree that there are things we must change. For example, the qualification for members of parliament in the entire country, for the president, people are questioning it. But because of the complex way of amending the Constitution, that is the only reason it has stayed. But were it to be easy as others, by now we would have gone very far from it. So I don't want us to legislate as if we are still stagnant at the same level where we were as a country. So I really want to implore the committee and members that the issue of qualification for our leaders are very important. I'm going to end with this example. In one of my sub-counties, I chair the district roads committee. We sent 33,500,000 to the sub-county. The sub-county senior assistant secretary, the sub-county chief, who is a degree older and probably higher, went to council and presented 3,350,000. The entire council, including the chairperson, that this is the money we have received, and that is what they debated and passed as their budget. So when I went down, we were challenged that the roads were not worked on. So when I mentioned that actually, where is the accountability for 33.5 million, the entire council of 23 councillors, including a chairperson, had not noticed that it was 33,500,000. They only budgeted and approved the expenditure of 3,350,000. That shows you the challenge. For that reason, we thought, at least let the chairperson have some qualification, even if the rest of the councillors are not going to have that. Mr. Chair, I beg to humbly submit.
Thank you. I agree with you, especially when you say this country has moved. I cannot agree with you anymore. That under the leadership of President Museveni, the country has moved from A, we are not at Z yet, but at least better.
Mr. Chair, let me put it on record. Under the leadership of President Museveni, the country has moved from where the UPC brought this government, and they have improved a little bit further. Thank you.
On that again is a question of fact that the NRM took power from UPC regime, and UPC did some good work. It was evident here that Serere School was built. Serere, a school called what was built?
No, I'm saying,
yes,
for purpose of record, UPC lost power to a junta, and NRM picked it from a military junta, not from UPC, for your information.
Yeah, but the junta was there for... There were UPC juntas. Yes, Minister of... I think the PS, you have a question to dispose of.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Chair, Honorable Ministers and members. Now, sub-counties and town councils are literally the same because they are local council level 3. But naturally, they can't be the same. It's like you find Bundubujo district, here as it is, or Kisoro, cannot be the same like Masaka district, which is flat. But in terms of even sizes, the sub-county is bigger in most cases than a town council. But of course, town councils deal with urban issues like drainage and other things. But the other needs are catered for by the technical people who are employed in both areas. So a town council normally has specialized people in urban governance, has sanitation people, and many other areas. But for sure, by calling it a local council 3, the interpretation is that they are the same level, and that the differentials can be dealt with by the technical people who are recruited to interpret, direct, and manage and govern policy and service delivery. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.